Hi everyone. So today you're going to be working on this page here, and the first part of this page is going to be pretty self-explanatory. You're just going to be drawing this sphere here down in this section below, and on your drawing I want you to use all 5 values from your value scale that you made yesterday. So your darkest value will be this area down here at the bottom, the cast shadow coming off of your sphere. And then essentially on your sphere, it's almost like you're recreating the value scale again. So you have your darkest value here. Your step 5 on your value scale is going to be down here. And then your fourth step is going to be around in here. I'm going to ignore that little rim of light there for a moment. So you'll have basically your step 4 will be about here, and then you go to step 3 where you're kind of in the middle gray, and then over here where you have your lightest gray, and then over here where you have just the white of the paper. When you do this, try to have your values blend into each other so you don't have definite sections where the dark gray ends and the middle gray begins. You want them to all kind of blend in together so it looks nice and round. As you get things in, if you want, you can even, though, take your eraser and just kind of lightly drag it on the bottom here just to show that little bit of reflected light on the bottom. And then I want you to have a value behind your sphere too, similar to how it's done into this, where there's a darker value up here and then a lighter one down below, just so you get the sense of shading in the area behind your object as well as on your object itself. Once you're finished with this part, we're going to be defining a few terms here. There's only 5 little things we're going to have to do right here. And the way that I'm going to have you do this is you're going to do this by looking through the slideshow that I've attached, but I'm also just going to go over it right now. So I have the slideshow attached if you want to look at it later when you're writing things down. But basically, here it is. So if we look at this picture here, which color is darker in value? It's a little bit easier to see. Usually when I project it, it's a little bit more complicated, but the purple square is a little darker here. This just kind of goes to show how when you see things in color, sometimes it's hard to see which color is darker than another, but then when you see it in black and white, it's a lot easier to see what's darker. So for our very first term here, value right here, we want to define that, and that is going to be defined as the lightness or darkness of a color. So value is just how dark or how light something is. Okay, so go ahead and write that down in there. You can pause this video here. I guess I'm just going to keep going. So the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to give some examples of both hatching and cross-hatching. This will be a way to make the way that you shade in your drawings look nice and neat and realistic, and not like sloppy and messy. So one way of adding in value or shading something in, and again, value, kind of like a fancy term for shading something in. Okay. So one way of applying value is through hatching, which is done by drawing parallel lines. So you can see in this drawing by Leonardo da Vinci, all of the lines on this skull here are all parallel to each other, and they're just darker in the areas where they're in shadow, and then there are lighter lines in the areas where the light is hitting. So it's all nice and super neat and three-dimensional looking. So you're going to just go ahead right in this little section right here. You're just going to draw in a little example of hatching. Then on the next one where we have cross-hatching, I thought this adorable little bear. So cross-hatching is where you have hatching lines that cross each other, and it almost looks like screen in a way, where you have them just kind of going this direction and that direction. So we can see in here we have examples of cross-hatching where you kind of start by hatching and then going over the top of that again, going the opposite direction. So again, you're going to make a little example of that right down in this section here. Then we have, I just want to show you this too, frequently you will see hatching and cross-hatching together, and usually you'll see hatching in the areas where it's lighter and cross-hatching in the areas where things are darker. So that's just kind of an idea about how to use cross-hatching and hatching together. Okay. You don't have to give me an example of what that looks like. I just want you to have examples of hatching here and cross-hatching here. The next thing that you're going to do is you're going to tell me what the purpose of value is. So value is used for a couple of reasons. One, is to make your drawings look more three-dimensional. So in the first section here, section A, you're just going to write in value is used to make drawings look three-dimensional. As we can see in this drawing here we have kind of like more of like an outline shape of this figure in the back here. There's a little bit of shading on her, but not a ton. And then when you look at this baby here, look how three-dimensional that baby's arm is over here. We have really nice dark values in here, nice dark shading, all nice and even together on here. Okay, so values used to make your drawings look more three-dimensional. And then also more dramatic. If you think about the way that that if you've ever seen a play, like the way that plays are lit, where you have really strong light on a person, just makes things look more dramatic. So value is used all the time to make your drawings look just more interesting, more dramatic. Okay, so you're going to write that here in section B. And then the last thing you're going to write in is right here where it says contrast, and that is defined as dark values next to light values. So when you have like a really dark background and a very light subject, or vice versa, it makes those things stand out. Okay, so contrast is used to make your drawing stand out. Really nice dark areas next to really bright areas make things stand out. Next time you are watching movies or television, pay attention. You'll see contrast used all the time in movies. Movie production companies spend tons of money on lighting to really dramatically light people so that there's strong light and shadow on them, just because it makes things more interesting. So you'll see contrast all the time in movies, and then you'll also see it in photography. I love this photograph here. This would just be a normal picture of an old man here. But now when you have this really strong shadow on him and his little eyeball creeping out there, and I'm not sure if you can see it on my screen, but there's a tiny little teeth showing through here. What a creepy picture. So contrast used all the time. Keep an eye out for it, okay? You don't have to write this down here. I just want you to know what contrast means right here that you're going to define right here. And that's all you have to write. So once you're finished with this here, you can take a photograph of it and turn it into me on Schoology. Thank you so much. Bye.